bullet left the chamber at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. One moment, the world was noise, chanting protesters, police sirens, helicopter blades cutting through Chicago air. The next moment, everything went silent. That strange, terrible silence that comes right after something irreversible happens. Sarah Chen was 29 years old, 7 months pregnant, standing in a sea of peaceful protesters with a hand-painted sign that read "Justice for All" in careful blue letters. She'd woken up that morning and kissed her husband David goodbye, promising to be careful, promising to stay hydrated, promising to come home safe. She had no idea she'd been marked by fate, no idea that Sergeant Marcus Williams, a decorated soldier with 6 years of perfect service, was tracking a target through his rifle scope. No idea that in 3 seconds, her entire life would shatter like glass. Marcus had seen the man in the red jacket, the fugitive they'd been warned about, armed robbery suspect, dangerous, moving through the crowd like a shark through water, using innocent people as cover. Marcus had the shot. Clean, clear, professional. What he didn't see was Sarah taking one step forward. 6 inches, just 6 inches to her left, moving toward a friend she'd recognized in the crowd. 6 inches between life and death. The rifle kicked against Marcus's shoulder. The sound cracked through the morning, and Sarah Chen dropped to the pavement like someone had cut her strings. This is the story of what happened after that single shot. A story about a soldier who followed every rule and still destroyed everything. About a woman fighting for 2 lives with a bullet in her chest. About a husband who has to choose between justice and vengeance. And about a city that's about to explode. But most of all, this is a story about the invisible line between right and wrong. And what happens when doing your duty perfectly still means you've done something unforgivable. Let me take you back to the morning everything changed. Sarah Chen stood in front of the bathroom mirror, turning sideways to look at her reflection. 7 months pregnant. Her daughter, they were going to name her Emma, was active this morning, kicking against her ribs like she was already impatient to see the world. "Easy, baby girl," Sarah whispered, rubbing her belly. "We've got a big day, but Mama's got you." David appeared in the doorway, holding 2 travel mugs of tea. He looked worried. He'd been looking worried a lot lately. "You sure about this? The protest?" Sarah took the mug, kissed his cheek. "It's a peaceful march, David. Permitted. Organized. I'll be careful. Protests aren't always peaceful." His voice had that edge, the one that came from watching too much news. People get hurt. People get hurt crossing the street. Sarah smiled, trying to lighten the mood. "I'm not going to stop living because I'm pregnant. Besides, this matters. Emma should know her mother stood for something." David pulled her close, careful of her belly. "Just stay on the edges, away from any trouble, and text me every hour, I promise." Sarah kissed him properly this time. "I love you. I love you more." If Sarah had known those would be the last normal words they'd ever speak to each other, would she have said something different? Something bigger? Something that could somehow prepare David for what was coming? But she didn't know. None of us ever know when normal is about to end forever. Sarah drove to Grant Park, found parking 3 blocks away, walked slowly pregnancy, made everything slower toward the gathering crowd. Thousands of people, signs everywhere. The energy was peaceful, hopeful, even. People chatting, laughing, passing out water bottles. She texted David, "Here safe. So many people. It's beautiful. Emma's kicking. I think she approves. Love you." 3 bubbles appeared immediately. David typing, then "Love you both. Be safe. Check in soon." Sarah smiled, pocketed her phone, and joined the river of people moving through downtown Chicago. She had no idea that 3 miles away, Sergeant Marcus Williams was suiting up in tactical gear, checking his rifle, receiving a briefing about a dangerous fugitive who might be hiding in the protest crowd. She had no idea their lives were about to collide in the worst possible way. Marcus had been in the Army for 6 years, 2 tours overseas, decorated for valor, the kind of soldier who did everything by the book, because the book existed for a reason, to keep people alive. He'd never wanted to be deployed against American citizens. None of them did. When the order came down that the National Guard was being activated to provide security for the Chicago protests, every soldier felt it. The wrongness of it, the complicated politics, the impossible position of having to treat your own people as potential threats. But orders were orders, and Marcus was good at following orders. Listen up. Captain Rodriguez addressed the platoon at 8:30 a.m. Our job is presence and deterrence. We're here to keep the peace. Use of force is absolute last resort. Rules of engagement are strict. You do not fire unless you have positive identification of an immediate lethal threat. Is that clear? Yes, sir, the platoon responded in unison. Rodriguez looked at each of them. These are Americans, our neighbors. Your job is to protect them, not threaten them. Understood? Yes, sir. There's intelligence that Roland Bishop wanted for armed robbery. Assault with a deadly weapon may attempt to use the protest as cover. He's considered armed and dangerous. 6'2", black male, last seen wearing a red jacket and black backpack. If spotted, report immediately. Do not engage without authorization. Marcus listened, memorized, red jacket, black backpack, armed and dangerous. At 9:15 a.m., they deployed to their assigned positions along the protest route. Marcus took his spot at the corner of Michigan Avenue and Randolph Street. Perfect sightlines, good coverage, professional positioning. The protesters began marching at 9:30 a.m., wave after wave of people, signs held high, chants rolling through the crowd like thunder. No justice, no peace. Say their names. We want change. Marcus stood at parade rest, rifle across his chest, face neutral. Inside, he felt conflicted. These people had every right to protest. He believed in that right, had fought for that right overseas. But he also had a job to do. For 17 minutes, everything was fine. Peaceful. The protesters marched, the soldiers watched, the city held its breath. Then, at 9:47 a.m., everything went to hell. The radio crackled in Marcus's ear. All units, be advised. Possible sighting of Roland Bishop near the fountain area. Red jacket, black backpack, moving southeast through the crowd. Marcus's training kicked in immediately. His eyes scanned the crowd. Thousands of people, movement everywhere. Then there, a tall figure in a red jacket, black backpack, moving against the flow of the protest, not marching with everyone else, moving purposefully, trying to blend in but standing out to anyone trained to look. Marcus brought his rifle up slowly, looked through the scope. The man was moving fast now, heading toward the edge of the crowd, toward Roosevelt exit. If he made it there, he'd disappear into the city. Control, this is Williams. I have eyes on possible suspect. Red jacket, black backpack, moving toward Roosevelt exit, requesting guidance. Copy, Williams. Maintain visual. Ground units are moving to intercept. Do not engage unless subject presents immediate threat. Marcus tracked the target through his scope. The man was almost running now, looking over his shoulder. The body language was all wrong. Guilty, running. Marcus could see the ground units. They were too far away, blocked by the crowd. The suspect was going to make it, going to escape. He's going to Rabbit, Marcus said into his radio. Ground units won't reach him in time. Hold your position, Williams. Do not. The man reached into his backpack. Quick movement, hand disappearing inside. Everything Marcus had learned in 6 years of training compressed into a single second. Hand in backpack. Could be a weapon. Armed and dangerous. Immediate threat. Rules of engagement satisfied. He should have waited. Should have confirmed. Should have done 100 things differently. But in that moment, with his training screaming at him and the suspect reaching into a backpack and possibly pulling a weapon in a crowd of thousands of civilians, Marcus made his decision. I have the shot, he said into his radio. Williams, do not. Marcus exhaled, steadied his aim, finger on the trigger, center mass, clean shot. Background is clear, the man had moved to the edge, fewer people behind him now. He started to squeeze, and Sarah Chen, looking at her phone to text David that she was fine, that the baby was kicking, that she loved him, took one step to her left. moving toward a friend she'd just spotted, one step that put her directly in line with Marcus's bullet. The rifle fired. The world exploded into chaos. Sarah didn't hear the gunshot. Not really. What she heard was a sound like someone dropping a heavy book, a crack that didn't make sense in the context of a peaceful protest. Then her chest felt strange, hot, pressure, like someone had punched her really hard. She looked down, saw the hole in her blue maternity dress, right below her ribcage, saw the blood starting to bloom like a terrible flower. Her brain couldn't process it. This didn't make sense. She was at a protest, peaceful protest. Why was there blood? Then the pain hit. Real pain, crushing pain. And Sarah understood. I've been shot. Her hands went to her belly, protective, maternal, trying to shield Emma even though the bullet had already done its work. My baby, she whispered. Then louder, my baby. She fell. The pavement was hard and cold. The sky above her was so blue. Perfect September blue. How could the sky be so beautiful when everything was ending? People crowded around her, faces she didn't know. Someone was pressing cloth against her chest. Someone else was screaming for help. Someone was crying, or maybe that was her crying. She couldn't tell anymore. Hold on, ambulance is coming, just hold on. Sarah tried to focus, tried to stay conscious, tried to keep breathing, but it was so hard. Everything was getting darker, quieter. Emma. Please God, Emma. Through the crowd of faces, through the chaos and the screaming, Sarah saw him, the soldier, standing maybe 50 feet away, his rifle lowered now, his face white as paper, staring at her with an expression of pure horror. Their eyes met for just a second. Two people whose lives had just destroyed each other. Then Sarah's world went black. Do you see how 1 second can change everything? How one decision, even the right decision, can lead to the worst outcome? Hit that subscribe button, because what comes next is going to break your heart and challenge everything you think you know about justice. Drop a comment. If you were Marcus, could you live with what you'd done? If you were David, could you forgive? Let's continue, because the real story is just beginning. The ambulance arrived in 4 minutes. 4 minutes that felt like 4 hours. The paramedics were professionals. They'd done this hundreds of times. Gunshot wounds, trauma, life, and death. But when they cut open Sarah's dress and saw the wound and saw how pregnant she was, everything changed. Gunshot wound, lower chest, entry, no exit, bullet still in there. The lead paramedic, a woman named Andrea Reyes with 20 years of experience, spoke quickly into her radio. Patient is approximately 7 months pregnant. I've got fetal movement. Baby's alive. We need to move now. They worked with controlled urgency. IV line, oxygen mask, pressure on the wound, vital signs. BP's dropping. She's going into shock. Load her up. Go. As they lifted Sarah onto the stretcher, her eyes fluttered open, barely conscious. Her hand reached out, grabbed Andrea's sleeve. My baby, Sarah whispered. Please, save my baby. Andrea had learned long ago not to make promises she couldn't keep. But looking at this young woman bleeding out from a bullet meant for someone else, those rules went out the window. We're going to do everything we can, Andrea said. You just fight. Keep fighting for her. Sarah's grip loosened, eyes closing again. Stay with me, Andrea shouted. Sarah, stay with me. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Sirens screamed to life. They accelerated through Chicago traffic, every second critical. In the back, Andrea worked frantically. The bullet had entered below the ribcage, traveled upward. Could have hit liver, stomach, diaphragm. Could have ricocheted into the uterus. I need another IV line. Her pressure's dropping too fast. The other paramedic, Marcus's hands moving quickly, started a second line. Hospital's 2 minutes out. She might not have 2 minutes. Call ahead. Tell them to prep trauma or a neonatal team. They're gonna have to take the baby. She's only 7 months. Baby won't survive if mom crashes. They need to be ready for emergency C-section. Through the chaos, Through the medical terminology and the controlled panic, Andrea kept talking to Sarah, kept trying to keep her in the world. "Stay with me, Sarah. Your baby needs you. Your family needs you. Don't you dare give up." But Sarah couldn't hear anymore. She was somewhere else now, somewhere dark and quiet, floating, far from the pain. In that darkness, she felt Emma kick. One last time. A strong kick, like she was saying, "I'm still here, Mama," or maybe saying goodbye. David Chen was in the middle of a presentation when his phone rang. He ignored it. Big client meeting, important project, career-defining moment. The phone rang again. "Different number." "I'm sorry," David said to the room full of clients. "I need to take this." He stepped into the hallway. Answered. "Hello? Mr. Chen? This is Dr. Patricia Morrison from Chicago General Hospital." The words that followed didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. David's brain refused to process them. Gunshot wound? Critical condition? Your wife? Emergency surgery? Your baby? "I don't understand," David heard himself say. "Sarah was just at a protest. She's fine. She texted me an hour ago." "Mr. Chen, I need you to listen carefully." Dr. Morrison's voice was kind but urgent. "Your wife was shot by accident, a National Guard soldier. The bullet entered her chest. We're preparing for emergency surgery right now. Both she and your baby are in critical condition. You need to come immediately." The hallway started spinning. David put his hand against the wall to steady himself. "Is she?" He couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't say the word. "She's alive. But Mr. Chen, you need to prepare yourself. This is very serious. We're doing everything we can, but the next few hours are critical. I'm coming right now." David didn't remember leaving the building, didn't remember getting to his car, didn't remember the drive except in fragments. Red lights he ran, cars he cut off, his own voice screaming at traffic to move. His phone kept buzzing, calls, texts, everyone had seen it. The video was everywhere. At a stoplight, the only one he actually stopped at, David made the mistake of looking at his phone. The video had millions of views already. Number Chicago shooting was trending worldwide. He clicked it and watched his wife get shot. There was Sarah, smiling, looking at her phone, taking one step, then the gunshot. Her face changing from smile to confusion to horror in half a second. Her hands going to her belly, the blood, the fall. The video ended. Auto played another angle. Same moment, different perspective, same nightmare. David threw the phone. It hit the dashboard, cracked. He didn't care. The light turned green. He drove, hands shaking so badly he could barely hold the wheel. Please, God, please. Not Sarah, not Emma, please. Chicago General Hospital appeared ahead. David abandoned his car in the emergency lane, ran through the automatic doors. "Sarah Chen? Where's my wife? Where's Sarah Chen?" A nurse looked up, recognized the name, the panic. Her face changed. "Mr. Chen, where is she?" "She's in surgery. Dr. Morrison is operating now, if you'll come with me." "Is she alive?" David grabbed the counter. "Is my wife alive?" The nurse came around, gently took his arm. "She's alive. The baby too. But Mr. Chen, it's very serious. Come with me. There's a private waiting room. Dr. Morrison will update you as soon as possible." David followed, numb. The nurse led him to a small room, sterile, quiet, a room where families waited for news that would either rebuild their world or end it forever. "Can I get you anything? Water?" David shook his head, couldn't speak. The nurse left. The door closed. David was alone. On the wall, a sign. "Chapel, located on second floor, open 24 hours. David wasn't religious, hadn't prayed since childhood, but now he fell to his knees and prayed harder than he'd ever prayed in his life. "Please, please, I'll do anything. I'll give anything. Just let them live. Both of them, please." 3 floors above him, Dr. Patricia Morrison was fighting to save both Sarah and Emma from a bullet that should never have been fired. Across the city, in a small military police office, Sergeant Marcus Williams sat in a plastic chair with his head in his hands. They'd taken his rifle, taken his statement, told him he was on administrative leave pending investigation. The MP captain, a stern woman named Halverson, had been professional, clinical. Walk me through your decision-making process. Marcus had explained it all. Target identification, rules of engagement, immediate threat assessment, everything by the book. And you didn't see the civilian? No, ma'am. She stepped into the line of fire. I had already begun my trigger squeeze. By the time I saw her movement, the round had discharged. Captain Halvorsen made notes. The target you fired at, did you confirm it was Roland Bishop? Marcus's stomach dropped. I confirmed the description. Red jacket, black backpack, male, approximately 6'2". Did you confirm his face? Did you positively ID Roland Bishop? Silence. Terrible silence. Sergeant Williams, did you positively identify your target? No, ma'am. More notes. Captain Halvorsen's expression gave nothing away. The individual you fired at has been detained and identified. His name is Marcus Thompson, college student. No wants, no warrants. No criminal record. He was wearing a red jacket and carrying a backpack containing textbooks. The room started spinning. You shot an unarmed pregnant woman while aiming at an innocent college student, Captain Halvorsen said. Her voice wasn't cruel, just factual, which somehow made it worse. Do you understand the situation you're in? Marcus nodded. Couldn't speak. You're being relieved of duty pending full investigation. You'll be assigned a JAG attorney. Do not speak to media. Do not discuss this case with anyone except your attorney. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am? You're dismissed. Report to base housing. Remain available for questioning. Marcus stood, walked to the door, stopped. Captain, the woman I shot, do you know if she... I don't have that information, Sergeant, and even if I did, it wouldn't be appropriate to share. Marcus left, walked through the military police building in a daze. Other soldiers stared at him. Everyone knew. Word traveled fast in the military. Some looked at him with sympathy, some with anger, some with the kind of judgment that comes easy when you've never had to make a split-second decision that destroyed lives. Marcus made it to his car, sat in the driver's seat, stared at his hands. These hands had fired the shot. These hands had maybe killed a pregnant woman and her baby. He'd followed his training, followed orders, done everything right, and still destroyed everything. His phone buzzed. News notifications. He looked. Pregnant woman shot by National Guard at Chicago protest. Video shows soldier firing into crowd. Baby's fate unknown after mother shot. The video was embedded in every article. Marcus didn't need to watch it. He'd never forget that moment as long as he lived. The woman falling, the blood, the way her hands went to her belly. His phone rang. His mother. He didn't answer. It rang again. His sister. He didn't answer. Text messages started flooding in. Friends, family, former unit members. What happened? Are you okay? Tell me the video isn't real. They're saying you shot a pregnant woman. Marcus turned his phone off, started the car, drove home. Home was a small apartment off base, 1 bedroom, barely furnished. The life of a soldier who spent more time deployed than stationary. He walked inside, closed the door, locked it, stood in the middle of his empty living room. Then he collapsed. Not physically, emotionally. Something inside him just broke. Years of military discipline, years of holding it together, years of being strong. Gone, all gone. Marcus Williams, decorated soldier, sat on his floor and cried like he'd never cried in his life. Great gulping sobs that shook his entire body. He cried for the woman he'd shot, for her baby, for her husband who was probably at a hospital right now praying for a miracle. He cried for himself. For his career, that was over. For his life, that would never be normal again. But mostly he cried because he knew that no matter what happened next, whether Sarah Chen lived or died, whether he was charged or acquitted, whether the world forgave him or condemned him, he would never, ever forgive himself. Some mistakes you can apologize for, some you can fix, and some you just have to carry forever. Marcus Williams just became a man who would carry this burden for the rest of his life. But Sarah Chen's fight is just beginning, and so is the battle that will tear a city apart. Keep watching. because what happens in that operating room will determine everything. Dr. Patricia Morrison had been a trauma surgeon for 15 years. She'd operated on gunshot victims, car accident victims, every kind of trauma the human body could endure. But this was different. This was two patients, a mother and an unborn child, connected, dying together. The bullet had entered Sarah's lower chest, traveled upward at an angle, and lodged near her diaphragm. It had missed her heart by inches, missed her lungs by centimeters, but it had done massive internal damage, and the shock was causing Sarah's body to shut down, which meant the baby was dying too. "We need to take the baby," Dr. Morrison said to her team. "Mom's vitals are crashing. Baby won't survive if we don't deliver now." Her neonatal specialist, Dr. James Park, shook his head. "She's only 30 weeks. Baby's lungs won't be fully developed. Baby's lungs won't matter if she dies in the womb. We deliver now, repair the mother, pray they both survive." The operating room erupted into controlled chaos. Two teams, one focused on Sarah, one preparing for emergency C-section. "Mom's BP is 80/40. We're losing her. Give me 2 units of O negative. Now." Starting C-section incision. Dr. Morrison worked with focused intensity, years of training, years of experience, but also something else, something personal. She kept thinking about David Chen, sitting in that waiting room, not knowing if he was about to lose everything. "I've got the uterus. Making incision now." The baby was small. So small. When Dr. Park lifted her out, she looked impossibly tiny, fragile, not ready for the world. But she was alive, crying, weak but alive. Baby girl, 30 weeks gestation, weight approximately 3 pounds. Dr. Park moved quickly, handing the baby to the waiting neonatal team. "Apgar score is 4. She's struggling." The baby, Emma Chen, though the surgical team didn't know her name yet, was rushed to the NICU, fighting for every breath. In the operating room, Dr. Morrison turned her full attention to Sarah. "Close up the uterus. I need to find this bullet and stop the bleeding." Sarah's vitals were still dropping. The bullet had caused more damage than Dr. Morrison had hoped. Internal bleeding, tissue damage, shock. "We're losing her." "No, we're not." Dr. Morrison's voice was steel. "Give me more blood. Prepare for transfusion." And someone paged Dr. Reeves from cardiothoracic. "I need backup." For the next 3 hours, Dr. Morrison and her team fought for Sarah Chen's life, removed the bullet, repaired the damage, tried to stabilize vital signs that kept crashing. David Chen sat in the waiting room for all 3 hours, alone, waiting, dying inside. Sarah's parents arrived from Oregon, David's parents from California, friends, family, all gathering in that small waiting room, all waiting for news. No one knew what to say. What do you say when a pregnant woman gets shot at a peaceful protest by a soldier who was supposed to protect people? At hour 4, Dr. Morrison finally emerged, still in her surgical scrubs, blood on her gloves, exhaustion on her face. David stood up. So did everyone else. Dr. Morrison looked at David, looked at all the terrified faces waiting for her words. "Mr. Chen, your wife is alive." The room exhaled. People started crying, hugging, thanking God. But Dr. Morrison wasn't smiling. "She's alive, but she's critical. The bullet caused significant internal damage. We've repaired what we could, but the next 72 hours are crucial. She's in ICU. Unconscious, on a ventilator. Her body is fighting very hard right now." David's voice was barely a whisper. "And the baby?" Dr. Morrison's expression softened slightly. "Your daughter was delivered via emergency C-section. She's 30 weeks gestation, 3 pounds. In the NICU, she's struggling, Mr. Chen. Her lungs aren't fully developed. She's on a ventilator as well. The next few days will tell us a lot." "Can I see them?" "You can see your daughter now, briefly. Your wife is still too unstable. We'll let you know when you can visit." David followed Dr. Morrison through a maze of hospital corridors to the NICU, a room full of tiny babies in plastic incubators, machines beeping, nurses moving quietly. And there, in an incubator at the end of the row, was Emma. She was so small, smaller than David could have imagined, Wires everywhere, tubes, machines breathing for her. But she was alive, her tiny chest rising and falling with the ventilator, her tiny hands curled into fists. Fighting. "You can touch her," a NICU nurse said gently. "Through the ports. She needs to know you're here." David put his hands through the porthole openings, touched his daughter's hand with one finger. She was warm, real, alive. "Hi, baby girl," David whispered. His voice broke. "Hi, Emma. It's Daddy. Mommy can't be here right now, but she's fighting. And you need to fight too. Can you do that for me? Can you fight?" Emma's tiny fingers twitched. Maybe just reflex. Maybe something more. David stood there for an hour, just watching his daughter breathe, praying she'd keep breathing, praying her mother would wake up, praying for a miracle in a world that had just shown him how cruel it could be. Somewhere across the city, Marcus Williams sat in his apartment, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, unable to stop seeing Sarah Chen's face as she fell. He didn't know yet that she'd survived surgery, didn't know about Emma, didn't know anything except that he'd destroyed a family and nothing would ever make that right. Two people, connected by a single bullet, fighting for their lives in a hospital neither of them had planned to visit, and a city that was about to explode with rage because the video was everywhere now. Millions of views. Protests erupting in Chicago and across the country. People demanding justice, demanding answers, demanding someone pay for what happened to Sarah Chen. And Marcus Williams was about to become the most hated man in America. This story is far from over. The bullet has been fired. Lives have been shattered. But the real battle for justice, for healing, for something resembling peace is just beginning. Hit subscribe if you're invested in Sarah's recovery and Emma's fight. Comment below, what would you do if you were David? Could you forgive the man who shot your wife? This story continues, and it's going to challenge everything you believe about justice, forgiveness, and what it means to be human. The video had been viewed 47 million times. Every news network played it on repeat. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, BBC, international media. Everyone showed the same horrifying moment. Sarah Chen taking one step, then falling, her hands clutching her pregnant belly. And everyone wanted someone to blame. Marcus Williams' name was everywhere. His military photo circulated online, the one where he looked proud, confident, like a hero. Now that same photo appeared under headlines like "Soldier Who Shot Pregnant Woman" and "Killer in Uniform." His address leaked within 24 hours. Protesters gathered outside his apartment building, chanting, demanding he be arrested, demanding justice for Sarah Chen. Marcus stayed inside, curtains drawn, door locked, phone off, existing in a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. He'd tried to eat, couldn't. Tried to sleep, couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Sarah falling, saw the blood spreading across her blue dress, saw her hands protecting a baby he might have killed. On the third morning, there was a knock on his door. Marcus froze. The protesters outside had been getting more aggressive. Yesterday, someone threw a brick through his car window. Someone else spray-painted "Babby Killer" on the building wall. The knock came again. Firmer this time. "Sergeant Williams, it's Captain Rodriguez. Open the door." Marcus unlocked the door. His commanding officer stood in the hallway, in civilian clothes, looking grim. "You look like hell," Rodriguez said. "Feel worse." Rodriguez stepped inside, closed the door behind him, looked around the sparse apartment. Empty pizza boxes, unopened mail, the life of a man who'd stopped living. "You been watching the news?" "No, sir." "Good, don't." Rodriguez sat on the worn couch. "The woman you shot, Sarah Chen, she's alive." Marcus's head snapped up. "She's alive!" "Critical condition, ICU, but alive. The baby too. Delivered via emergency C-section. 30 weeks, in NICU, both fighting for their lives." For the first time in 3 days, Marcus felt something other than despair. Hope, fragile, terrifying. But hope they're gonna make it. Rodriguez's expression killed that hope immediately. Too early to say. Next 72 hours are critical for both. But Marcus, Rodriguez leaned forward. Even if they survive, you understand the situation you're in? Marcus nodded slowly. The district attorney is under enormous pressure to charge you. There's protests in every major city. The family is hiring lawyers, the media is calling you a murderer, and there's a full investigation that could result in criminal charges ranging from negligent homicide to involuntary manslaughter. I followed procedure, Marcus said quietly. I did everything by the book. I know. I've read your statement. I've reviewed the tactical situation. From a military standpoint, your decision-making was sound. But Marcus, you shot an unarmed pregnant woman at a peaceful protest. The optics are catastrophic. The man I aimed at was a college student carrying textbooks. Wrong guy, wrong call. And that's going to be the prosecution's entire case, that you fired without positive identification into a crowd of civilians. Marcus put his head in his hands. What do? You get a good lawyer. You prepare for this to get much worse before it gets better. And Marcus, Rodriguez's voice softened. You might want to find a therapist, because even if you're cleared of charges, you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. Sarah Chen woke up on day 4, sort of. Her eyes opened, saw fluorescent lights, heard machines beeping, felt the tube in her throat helping her breathe. Everything was pain and confusion. A nurse appeared above her, young, kind face. Sarah, can you hear me? You're in the hospital. You've been in an accident. You're safe now. Don't try to talk. You have a breathing tube. Just blink if you understand me. Sarah blinked. Her mind was fog. What accident? Where was she? Then memory crashed back. The protest. The sound like a dropped book. Looking down and seeing blood. The pain. The fall. I was shot. Sarah's hand moved or tried to move toward her belly. Where was Emma? Why couldn't she feel Emma kicking? The nurse saw her movement, understood immediately, gently took Sarah's hand. Your baby is okay. She's in the NICU. She was delivered via emergency C-section. She's small, but she's fighting. Your husband has been with her constantly. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak around the tube. Couldn't. Managed only a desperate sound. I know, honey. I know. Let me page your doctor, and I'll get your husband. He's been waiting to see you. 5 minutes later, David burst through the ICU doors. He'd been living at the hospital for 4 days, sleeping in the NICU waiting room, showering in the visitor facilities, existing in a state of suspended terror. When he saw Sarah's open eyes, he nearly collapsed. Sarah. Oh God, Sarah. He rushed to her bedside, took her hand. You're awake. You're actually awake. Sarah squeezed his hand weakly, looked at him with desperate questions in her eyes. Emma's okay, David said, understanding without words. She's tiny. She's in the NICU. But she's alive, Sarah. She's breathing. She's fighting. Our daughter is a fighter. Sarah closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. Relief, grief, fear, everything at once. Dr. Morrison appeared. Sarah, I'm Dr. Morrison. I operated on you. You've been in medically induced coma for 3 days while your body healed. You were shot in the chest. The bullet caused significant internal damage, but we were able to repair it. You're going to be okay, but it's going to be a long recovery. Sarah's eyes opened again, fixed on Dr. Morrison with an intensity that made the doctor pause. You want to see your daughter? Dr. Morrison said softly. Sarah nodded desperately. She's 2 floors down. You're still too weak to be moved. But Dr. Morrison looked at David. We might be able to arrange a video call. Let her see Emma. Would that help? Yes, David said immediately. Please, yes. 20 minutes later, a nurse held an iPad above Sarah's bed. On the screen was the NICU, and there, in her plastic incubator, was Emma Chen. So tiny, wires everywhere, but alive. Her little chest rising and falling, her tiny fists curled up, fighting. Sarah made a sound around her breathing tube, a sob, a prayer, a mother's desperate love compressed into a single broken sound. She's beautiful, David whispered, standing beside Sarah's bed, holding her hand. She looks just like you. 3 pounds, 2 ounces. The doctors say if she can make it through the first month, her chances get much better. Sarah couldn't stop staring at the screen. at this tiny human she'd carried for 7 months, who'd been ripped from her body by a surgeon's blade because a soldier's bullet made staying inside too dangerous. The nurse let her watch for 10 minutes, then gently took the iPad away. "You need to rest, heal, so you can hold her in person." Sarah nodded, exhausted. But for the first time since waking up, she felt something other than pain. She felt purpose, a reason to fight, a reason to survive. Her daughter needed her. Detective Lisa Chen, no relation to Sarah, though the coincidence haunted her, was assigned to lead the investigation into the shooting. 20-year veteran of Chicago PD, decorated, respected, known for being thorough and fair. She'd watched the video approximately 200 times. Every angle, every frame, trying to understand exactly what happened in those critical seconds. The facts were clear. Sergeant Marcus Williams was assigned to provide security at the protest. He was radioed information about a wanted fugitive possibly in the crowd. He identified someone matching the description. He reported the sighting and requested guidance. The subject reached into his backpack. Williams fired 1 shot. Sarah Chen, who had stepped into the line of fire 1 second earlier, was struck. The subject Williams aimed at was Marcus Thompson, 19, college student, no criminal record. The legal question was simple. Was the shooting justified? The human question was far more complicated. Detective Chen sat across from Marcus Williams in an interrogation room. His military-appointed attorney, a sharp JAG lawyer named Captain Rebecca Shaw, sat beside him. "Sergeant Williams, walk me through your decision-making process," Detective Chen said. Marcus had told this story a dozen times already. To his commanding officers, to military police, to the district attorney's investigators. Each time, it felt like reliving the worst moment of his life. "I received radio communication about a wanted fugitive, possibly in the crowd. Red jacket, black backpack, 6'2". I spotted an individual matching that description. And you fired without confirming his identity?" Captain Shaw interrupted. "My client reported the sighting and requested guidance, which the radio logs will confirm. But he fired without waiting for that guidance. Because the subject reached into his backpack in a manner consistent with drawing a weapon," Marcus said quietly, "in an area with thousands of civilians, I assessed it as an immediate threat. But it wasn't a weapon. I didn't know that until after I fired." Detective Chen leaned back. She'd done hundreds of these interviews. Usually, she could read people, tell if they were lying, making excuses, covering their asses. Marcus Williams wasn't doing any of those things. He was just broken. "Do you regret taking the shot?" she asked. "Every second of every day," Marcus said. His voice cracked. "I see her falling, over and over. I see her hands on her belly. I see the blood. I would give anything, everything, to take it back. But in that moment, you felt the shot was justified?" Marcus was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. "In that moment, with the information I had, with a suspect reaching into a backpack in a crowd of thousands of people, yes, I thought I was preventing a greater tragedy. I thought I was doing my job, and now I know I destroyed a family, maybe killed a woman and her baby, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life, regardless of whether I'm charged or not." Detective Chen closed her folder, stood up. "That's all for now, Sergeant Williams. Don't leave the city." Outside the interrogation room, Detective Chen met with the district attorney, Michael Torres, a political animal known for being tough on police violence. "What do you think?" Torres asked. "I think it's the definition of a gray area," Chen said honestly. "He followed procedure, reported the sighting, made a split-second call when he thought he saw a threat, but he fired into a crowd without positive ID. And an innocent woman paid the price. Can we make charges stick? Depends what you charge him with. Murder? No way. Manslaughter? Maybe, if the woman dies. Negligent discharge? Possibly. But any jury is going to hear about his military record, his split-second decision-making, the fact that he was following orders to watch for a dangerous fugitive." Torres was quiet for a moment. "The city is on fire over this. There's protests every day. People want someone held accountable. Then you better make sure it's the right someone for the right reasons, Detective Chen said, because prosecuting a soldier for making a judgment call in the line of duty is going to tear this city apart just as much as not prosecuting him. Torres nodded grimly. I'm giving Sarah Chen 1 more week. If she survives, I might be able to justify lesser charges. If she dies. He didn't finish the sentence. They both knew. If Sarah Chen died, Marcus Williams would be charged with manslaughter. Maybe second-degree murder, and his life would be over. By day 5, the story had become a national obsession. Should soldiers police our protests? CNN. Tragic accident or criminal negligence? New York Times. Pregnant woman's fight for life after soldier's bullet? Washington Post. Everyone had an opinion. The left called for Marcus's arrest, his prosecution, his imprisonment. The right defended him as a soldier doing his job, making a split-second decision, being crucified for following orders. The truth, as always, was somewhere in between. But truth doesn't trend on social media. Outrage does.